So Miami was interesting.
It was either he was going to kidnap us.
Welcome to Sour Sweet Review.
Alright, so today we're going to be talking about our experience on our honeymoon and all the different cars that we got to try out and, just rent and experience that nice car feel.
Yeah, and just to give some background, we had our wedding back on November 11th, and then we left for a 2-week honeymoon on November 12th. And so we had a mix of Lyfts, Ubers, taxis, rental cars, and flying. So we're just going to give a review over the rental cars, and we're going to mix in our thoughts and feelings on the other forms of transportation that we took, because what a ride we had on this honeymoon. So
yeah, we did. The first car we're going to be talking about is a Toyota RAV4.
Yeah. We drove this car from our hometown in Tennessee all the way to Orlando, Florida, the international airport there. It's about an 8-hour drive. Caleb drove for 4.5 hours, and I drove for 3.5. You want to kick us off?
Sure.
Woo!
So with the car, it was very spacious. One thing that right off the back that I didn't like, I'm a tech savvy type of guy. I did not like the interface. You had to download an app for it, and then you need to sign up for it, and it was a subscription, so it was like you're gonna pay, but it's like, this is a rental car. I have to do all of this just so I can listen to my own music.
Yeah, and I'll put a pin right there. So our car that we have is a Honda CR-V, and it's a 2017, and it's a pretty high trim level, I guess, but there's a Honda Link app, but you don't need to download that to actually work with the car system. So you can just plug up your phone or use Bluetooth. If you plug it up, you can have access to Apple CarPlay. Whereas, like Caleb was saying, in the RAV4, you don't have that luxury. You had to download the app. We tried plugging it up. We tried to do Bluetooth. Bluetooth took us to a link to download the app.
That it did.
So we couldn't really get our trip going. We had to sit in a parking lot for like 20 minutes-ish.
20 to 30.
Just setting that up and figuring it out. And again, this was a rental car, so it's not like it was only one day, so we didn't keep it the entire time we were in Florida.
The other thing was, it was a hybrid car. There's some people out here that actually love hybrid cars, and good for you. But us and our family, we do not.
Okay. I would say, so I work in the utility industry, so there's different forms of hybrid car. This is the form that it saves gas, so it shuts off the engine when you come to a stop, and that is something that we were not fans of, and especially the way that it did it. Caleb drove longer than me, so what was how'd that go for you?
Yeah, it was just took some time getting used to the car stopping and trying to actually turn off every time we get to a stop sign or a red light, and then there's this jerky movement that it does just to start going forward. You barely put any gas or pressure on the gas pedal, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, and you could feel it in the passenger seat and the driver's seat, which is interesting. Usually it's the riders that can feel it, not the driver. But
the dash, it was fairly big. Didn't have that many bells and whistles. It's kind of like a base package. From what we saw in the back, it fit all of our luggage perfectly. If we had kids, I feel like they would be comfy. Had some air conditioning back there up front. Megs isn't the tallest, but she didn't have the most leg room right there. And then when I was in the passenger seat, I had to lay the seat all the way back just so I can get comfortable.
And we're not the tallest. Casey is like almost 6 foot.
And then I'm
5'4" and some change. But even with that, like, we're not super tall people. Like, we didn't need that much room. I will say, just a quick review of the seats. I was not a fan. Usually you find in cars, like, maybe the back seat isn't the most comfortable, and then the passenger seat is like mid-tier comfortable, and then the driver's seat is super comfortable. I didn't find any of this. Well, we didn't sit in the back, but I didn't find the passenger seat or the driver's seat to be comfortable at all. And I also think it's interesting because like my family, my parents both drive Toyotas and they're huge Toyota fans. And I love Honda. My first car was a Honda Civic. My car now that Caleb and I drive together is a Honda CR-V. I love Hondas. I feel like they're more comfortable. But even at that, even in my mom's Toyota Corolla, it was far more comfortable in the front and back seat than this car was. It was not it. And like Caleb was saying, the way that the dashboard was set up, I just think it didn't leave much leg room at all.
Besides for that, it was kind of an enjoyable experience, but the second car that we did rent blew it out the water. It was like, but before we get to that, I'll tell you about the experience when we got to the airport. So once we got to the airport, that's when we had switched out. So Megs was driving, I was just co-riding, telling her where to go. But the airport is kind of confusing, you know. We're from a smallish type of town. The biggest airport we've seen is Atlanta, and they have a subway in that thing.
Which is wild. If you haven't been to the Atlanta airport,
you should. It's like a whole little
city.
You
could spend a whole day in there just like exploring it, really, truly.
So at our car rental place, it was pick up and drop off in this same little space. But once you got to Orlando, they had the spikes up. So, you know, you had to drive over. Megs was just a little scared.
Yeah, that was terrifying. I thought I was going to destroy this car. And I was like, this is a rental. I'm going to have to call insurance. I'm going to bust a tire. And then there was this guy who was like, I don't know, just telling us to come forward. I can't think of the word. But he was like ushering us forward over the spikes. And I'm like, are you crazy? These are brand new tires. We didn't do anything. Like, if you make me bust a tire, you see me, I see you, and the cameras see both of us. I'm not going to pay for this. So that was interesting. I would also say the entrance to the airport was confusing.
You have to get in the right lane and follow the signs, but
the signs switch.
You have to stop following the signs up top and start looking at the ground signs, because it has like certain arrows on the garage that says this is where you need to go for this specific brand, you know.
And then off to the side it'll say the brand name. So like the ground on the floor, on the street, there we go, that's the word for it. It would say like this is a return lane, and then up at the top it would say if you were going to like Delta, like which airport, which airline you were using. And then there would be signs off to the left or right that would tell you which brand or what's it called? Is it a brand?
Company. Yeah,
company brand that you were returning. So if it was a car rental company that you were returning to, so it would be like Enterprise or Hertz, like Caleb was saying, off to the side. So you had to look like 3 different places. Plus we had our GPS on just to make sure that you're going to the right spot, which is overwhelming when you were in the car for almost 9 hours straight.
Just a bit. And then once you got in there, this real nice dude, he told us that we're in parking B. You need to go over to the other side and then go
first
upstairs.
He said to go up.
Yeah, go upstairs to the other side. So we got a bit confused if we need to go upstairs first and then try to go over.
Yeah.
But we knew it was in B. That's where the Lyft or Uber, whatever you're trying to get pickup, was at. We accidentally went up the elevator on the garage side first, came back down, got over to the right area, but we're still a little bit confused if it was upstairs. We went to ask somebody if this was B and do we need to go up to the second floor or what have you. They said, no, you're in E and you need to find B to go up to the second floor. Like, wait, what? I thought we were in B. She talks to her supervisor and it's like, oh no, you are in the right spot. You just need to go upstairs. Once we get up there.
Wait, but pause. There was a clear reason for that, and this is my biggest complaint with this airport, is that there wasn't any signs on each level indicating what level you were on. Now, I'm not talking about like level 1 or level 2, like which section. There was no sign that said you're in section B, section A, section E. So even the workers there didn't know which section we were on. It was like, well, you're on level 1. It was like, clearly, we're at ground level. Obviously, we're on level 1, but like, are we in the right section or not?
So we finally get up there, and I could have sworn we were in New York, the way everybody was pulling up to drive. They just had on the right side, everybody waiting for their Lyft or Uber.
Yeah.
All these cars just swerving in front of the other ones, trying to find a spot to pick them up. Some people, they're not even saying names. They're just looking at them like, yep, this is our car. Let's go hop in. It's like, hey, I ain't trying to get kidnapped today.
Literally just eye contact. And I was like, how do you... People didn't even have their phones out checking to make sure. They were like, I'm getting with you. And it was like, I don't trust this. And then the speaker at the radio spot, at the airport, the guy came over the intercom and he goes, yeah, make sure that you're not being scammed and just getting into random cars. And we were like, where the hell are we? This is not the United States. Where are we?
But sadly, it was. After that, you know, we got in our Lyft. It was a real nice dude. We'll have got some pictures up for showing up his ride. It was a nice, smooth ride.
Yeah.
First part of our honeymoon was Disney. We'll make another video for that, telling you about our stay, how the room was, everything that we enjoyed. It was my first time at Disney, but she's been a couple of times. So, you know, she was just showing me around, and we'll get to show y'all our experiences. But let's get into that second ride. Would you like to introduce it?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm going to hype this car up this entire time. This car brought tears of joy to my eyes. It made me really second guess if I had purchased the right car a couple of years ago when I got my CRV. I thought I was going to be a die-hard Honda fan for the rest of my life, and this Hyundai Santa Fe changed my life. That's what it's called, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Needed to make sure. A Santa Fe. It changed my life. I was so upset that we only had this car for 3 hours because we drove from Orlando to Miami to get on our cruise.
Was it 3 hours?
It was 3 hours, which was the second part of our honeymoon, was a cruise, which is amazing, and we'll have a whole other video on that, just like we did on Disney. Link up at the I think it's on the left side.
Left, right. We'll put it somewhere.
We'll put it somewhere so you can find it.
Maybe in the description below. So.
Yeah, but this car was spacious. It was cozy. It had all of the bells and whistles, but necessary bells and whistles. Caleb drove the entire time, so I'll let him kind of speak to what features we really, really connected with.
So, first things first, it could have been a hybrid. It could have not been, not sure, but at least it didn't stop when I hit a stop sign, a red light, anything of the sort. Well, we did switch out at some point.
Oh yeah. Oh,
but that was towards the end.
And that was the whole thing.
It was a great experience. It has a whole bunch of safety awards, and you just felt safe from the beginning. You had a moon roof, went all the way back. The dashboard interface, I can't think of the name, the navigation system. It was a bit smaller than the Toyota, but I didn't mind one bit.
Not at all.
Once you're driving, one of the greatest features it has is all of the cameras. So once you start backing up, it has this option where it shows you from a top angle everything around you. Felt like it was just a 3D model of us backing out. It saw cars before I even saw it, so it was perfect. When you are driving, if you put on the left or the right blinker, it pulls up in the front on your dash cam a camera from the side mirror. So you don't even need to turn your head. You know, everybody sometimes gets that whiplash of like, oh snap, I need to turn real quick. Oh, is that somebody coming? No, it has a camera right there. So you turn on the blinker, the camera pops up in this little circle. It still shows you how fast you're going, and then you can see all the cars to your side. No need to turn your head. You just face straight the whole time. I feel like that was a wonderful experience to have. It was very spacious. Definitely more spacious than the Toyota.
Oh, yeah.
More spacious than the Honda we have. I would say it's about the same.
I felt like it was more spacious, but I think what contributed to my feeling was that there was more storage. So in the center console part, at the bottom of it, you know how usually in a normal car or even in our Honda, it's just like enclosed fully. Yeah. This one had an opening at the bottom that not only had extra space for storage, but a USB charger down there, right? So that was just extremely nice. I do feel like we skipped over one part of it.
No, because going towards storage for the glove box, it didn't go as deep, but you had these 2 cup holders and then wireless charger built into the car. You put it right there. Would say our phones got just a little bit hot using it.
Very hot.
But besides for that, it's very nice just to have the convenience of just put your phone right there and it'll start charging right away.
Yeah, that was really cool.
There was no actual gear shift. It was just a button, and you know, I'm kind of old school 90s baby type of thing. Not really, but
we are nice.
I don't really like the button, but after 3 or 2 hours, you get used to it. Just pressing it, going from drive to park to speed, you know.
And it helps because it's automatic too. So it's not like manual where you had to keep,
pressing it, of course. Yeah, that would have been awful, but it's better than the dial. I have experienced dial before, and dial is like you kind of overshoot it sometimes, and it'll get stuck in the different parts of the transmission. So it was real nice. One of the other features that it did have was an intercom system, because the car does come with 3 or more rows of seats.
Yes.
We didn't get that one. We just had the 2 rows of seats. But if you did have the 3, let's say you have your kids in the back, you don't want to scream and yell at everybody, turn on the intercom system. All right, everybody.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, we were just figuring out all the different details and aspects of it.
Wish we had more time with it for sure. And we definitely plan on purchasing this as our like future parent car.
And this is not sponsored. This is just our opinion.
Please sponsor us. we will give a full car tour if we got a sponsorship. I do feel like there was one part that we missed over though, before we jump on to like comfort and everything. The actual connectivity system, which is what we really disliked about the RAV4. This one, we did not have that issue. You could download it. It was like our Honda. You could download an app if you wanted to.
But you didn't have to.
You did not have to. You could automatically hook up to Bluetooth. And since we were renting it, they had a rental portal almost.
Yep.
And so we could add our names, our phones automatically hooked up, or you could plug it in and have access to Apple CarPlay. And I'm going to be honest with you, even in our Honda, we are diehard Apple CarPlay users. And in this car, whether it was Bluetooth or Apple, you essentially had the same features. I didn't feel like I was missing anything without the Apple.
And even if you do have an Android phone, it has its own Android CarPlay feature, which I didn't even know existed. I thought it was only Apple CarPlay. So, color me impressed.
Yeah. And in the back seat, this is jumping a little bit. So this is going to transition into comfort kind of. The back seat, since we mentioned this in the RAV4, both had vents, but this car in the back, which I had never seen this before in a 2-seater SUV, had charging ports and a control system, a separate temperature control system for the back seat. We got home and we looked up about the 3-row. It has that for all 3 rows as well. But that was just really cool to me. Even though we weren't sitting in the back, I just felt like that was a really unique and awesome feature because, you know, you want your people in the back, whether it's your kids or your parents or siblings or friends, whoever, to still be comfortable as well. And I really like that added feature.
Do you want to tell your experience of once you started driving? We changed off once we got to Orlando.
Miami,
my bad.
Yeah.
And we were probably like 2 or 3 minutes away from the airport, stopped at the gas station, fill it up. You know, you can't return the car without a full tank.
Yeah. So Miami was interesting. You know, it could have just been the part of Miami that we were in. It just felt chaotic in how the signs were set up, how people were driving. And mind you, we're in Tennessee and we're pretty close to Atlanta in the part of Tennessee that we live in, and so we're used to chaotic, hectic driving. This was a different experience. And so I enjoyed driving the car. It took maybe 5 minutes, I guess, to figure out like just getting used to the driving.
Before we go any further, one thing about Florida, I feel like it's probably good for them. You know, they get to upgrade their roads and stuff, but there are so many tolls.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have actual tolls where you stop at to pay. They just take a picture of your license plate and say, we'll send you a bill later.
We were getting receipts for a week of the tolls that we went through, and 90% of them were just in Miami. Mind you, we had driven into Orlando, through Orlando, out of Orlando, and only had like 2 tolls.
Every 2 or 3 miles, there was another toll point
in Miami.
And it was wild.
It was a lot.
If you live in Miami, I know you probably already have a pass, but get the pass.
That is such a good investment. I don't know how much the pass is, even if it's like $50 a year. It's definitely saving you money. One of our receipts was $8 for 1 toll.
Yeah, and each toll is different. It's not a set price for each toll. It's like, here's the 20 cents. oh, this one's $1. Oh, this one's $8.
Yeah.
I was like,
Then there was
it
one that
adds
charged
up.
you for the size of your vehicle.
It did?
Yes.
I didn't read that.
It talked about certain axle or something. Yeah. It was interesting experience. But yeah, the signage was challenging for me, and then how everybody was driving was an adjustment. That's for sure.
So Megs had missed the turn to go towards the
sure
airport. Did. So then the GPS says rerouting. And she's like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm like, you just need to turn left. That's where it's telling you, turn left. So we turn left onto this, looks like a one-way street. It has this one little lane for us to go in, right?
Yep.
And as we're going, there are no signs, no nothing that says anything about U-turns. You know, Tennessee, you don't see a sign, you can hit a U-turn.
Absolutely.
But there's this, as you're going, there's this other little small street that you can turn if you're actually coming this way. It makes sense if you're going the other way, but the way we were coming against the traffic, people are coming off of the interstate, and Meg stops the car right there and says, I don't see where to go. I was like, turn right here, just turn. So then she finally goes as the car is coming. It's like, ooh, felt like we were Fast and Furious real quick. We hit this little spot, successfully make this roundabout.
That leads us to the interstate again. And we were like, why? Why didn't it just, like, we were stopped at a red light. It could have told us to make a U-turn right there. It didn't.
Yeah.
Then it brought us up on the interstate, off the interstate, onto the sketchy little road, back onto the interstate to get off to go to the airport. It was stressful, but we survived.
We did. And we were freaking out just a bit because
terrifying.
we were trying to make it to our cruise. And, you know, boats don't stay for people. They will leave you. That is their thing.
And we will give a whole review on that experience.
Well,
Go ahead.
What we will say about the boat is we'll talk about the taxi.
Yeah.
So we make it to the airport. The airport's just like the Orlando one.
But we had mastered it by this point. We knew which level meant, what section we were at.
Where to put the car at.
Yeah.
So, you know, they tell us to come in. We go through the building. We get to the spot where we need to be. But Lyft in the area, abysmal. It sucks. Like,
we used Lyft while we were in Orlando for Disney, and that's Disney's recommended partner company for transportation, and it was pretty good in Orlando.
I don't recommend Lyft because if they cancel on you, you still have to pay a couple of dollars.
$3.
$3, and it's like, but they canceled us.
Yeah.
We made it on time. We were in the spot we're supposed to be.
There was one time that happened while we were at Disney, and it said that it was going to be a 5 to 10 minute wait. And so we were walking out of one of the parks, and our Lyft got there before we were even outside of the park. Then we didn't know where to go because Disney did not have clear signage on this is where you go for Lyft or Uber.
Trying to call him, no fault of his own. He didn't speak English. We don't know Spanish. We don't know any other languages. Which we plan to learn now because we want to be able to communicate with everyone at all times. Because that was honestly scary, like not being able to communicate. Yeah. So for that one, we missed like 2 or 3 of the lifts until finally one person comes. He spoke English, so we were happy.
He was very nice. Very
back to Miami.
Yeah.
Miami. So in Miami, we get up there. The Lyft driver keeps driving around the airport because they didn't know how to get up to the spot for pickup, for Uber, taxi, Lyft, whatever pickup.
Well, Uber knew. We saw so many people with Ubers, and their Ubers came and picked them up successfully.
Rapido. Just over and over. See, I'm trying to learn a little bit Spanish. So, we're over here waiting. We're stalking the Lyft people as they're going up.
And the taxi people are watching us watch our Lyft people cancel on us.
So the taxi people, as soon as we get out there, you wanna Lyft? You wanna drive? Like, no, we got somebody. It's like, all right. He just sits back. He starts staring at us like this. So it goes probably about an hour.
It's not an hour.
It felt like an hour.
It felt like an hour. It was probably like 15, 20.
30 minutes
of most. Just waiting.
And we had 4 different Lyfts cancel on us.
Yeah.
2 of them couldn't find the place. And the other 2, as they got closer, they said, oh no, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
So they just ended up canceling. So by the grace of God, taxi was still there. The main dude that we had talked to first, He was just looking around because nobody was saying yes to him. So they're like, hey, how much is it? He said, well, you'll find out once we get there. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Which, mind you, we are country folk, okay?
Country.
We didn't even know that our city had taxis until we were like in high school. All right, I'm gonna be honest. We're not city folk.
No.
So we, trying to use a Lyft, it's like, oh, this will be a 20-minute drive from Miami Port to where you leave to get on your cruise, the cruise port, right? Yep. And so we're like, oh, okay, $20, that's not that bad,
yeah.
Right? And he's like, yeah, it could be 30, could be 50. He said $50, and I said, heavens no.
Right.
There's no way.
But everybody who does know about taxis, this isn't for you. But the
No.
people who don't, it's based on how far you're going and how long it takes you there.
Yeah.
We hop in, we make sure that he takes card. He was like, yeah, I do. He didn't really have the setup to take a card, so we almost got a free ride out of him.
Almost, and he knew it.
But we hop in, he starts swerving around, he starts speeding too. I'm like, oh, okay, we on some Tokyo
With
drift.
no GPS. That's what confused me, because I said, he asked where are we going, and then he asked which cruise line we were taking, and I told him all the information, and he was like, okay, get in. Didn't pull up any kind of map. Mind you, in Lyft, they not only had their phone map, but then they had like another device pulled up with the GPS on it, and it was logged in through their Lyft account. Yep. Like they had 2 different forms of GPS.
But big ups to the taxi drivers, because they know their city.
That they do.
They know the back roads. They know how to get there fast. They know where the traffic spots are.
Yeah.
Because it was either he was going to kidnap us, go the slow way, or he was going to get us there on time. But we were already
late.
10 minutes late for check-ins.
Yeah. So let me just tell you, when I looked up the address on my phone, it said there were 2 options. One took 30 minutes and the other one took 11 minutes. Yeah. If we took the 11-minute route, we had 5 minutes to spare from the time we got there to get onto the ship to make it by our boarding time. Yep. Right? If we took the 30-minute one, we were out of every single penny that we spent on this cruise. It was like that cutthroat, and it was only because we had to wait at the airport for so long for all of those. I guess it might have been an hour. It might have been like 45 minutes. You're right.
We got there early.
We did, because we got up early. We left Orlando at like 9 a.m. Got on the road. We were in Miami by like noon.
The boat wasn't supposed to
leave till 2
or 2:30, something like that. But it was about an hour.
No, we left. So we left Orlando at like 10, and then we got to Miami around 1 o'clock, I think, because we stopped, got gas, you know. Yeah. But so we were there by 1, and then the boat was supposed to leave at 2 or 2:30. We did not get to the port until 2:05. 2:05.
The last check-in was 2:15.
Yep.
So it was like, just thank you.
Which, ironically enough, when we got on the ship, and we'll give more detail on this once we got on the ship, but ironically enough, when we got on the ship, it was maybe 30 minutes later, and the captain goes on and says, all right, everybody who's supposed to be on this ship is on now. Yep. And we were like, wow, that was us.
They probably would have waited for us just a little bit longer, just in case. So.
Well, funny enough, there ended up being like things with it, and the ship was delayed.
Yeah, it was like 5 or 6 people who were late too with us.
Yeah.
They were still, but we had our passports, which definitely recommend, but you don't need them.
No, especially where we were going. We went to Mexico and Bahamas. Again, we'll give more details, but yeah, we only showed it once.
So once we get to the docking station where the boats are, the dude whips out his credit card machine. That don't work.
No.
He gets a square, puts it in his one phone. That doesn't work. He pulls out another phone, puts it in. That doesn't work. He keeps swiping our card. I'm thinking he's just taking our money.
Yeah.
We just didn't know.
This was the best advice my mom gave. Yes and no. If you're going out of the country, bring cash and a credit card only.
Yeah, never a debit card. Yeah.
Because if your money gets gone, it's just gone.
They won't reimburse you. But credit, they'll always try to reimburse you, fix something.
Because it's their money.
Yeah, not yours.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's our
We finally got to pay. Yeah. The grand total was $46.47, and I will never forget that number in my entire life. It was
expensive.
It was quite expensive, and then we left, a tip for him because we were grateful.
Yeah, we had a little money. So
we had some cash. Thank
over 20 or
goodness.
something. Oh, this is our cat.
Whisper.
One of our cats.
He's our boy cat. Say hello.
Hey, Whisper. Wave at him.
Doesn't he look like a husky?
He's our dog.
He is.
Normally he's more wild, but he wants to be nice today.
He's sleepy.
Just a bit.
But
yeah. Be expecting our videos for our Disney trip and also our review of the cruise and all the different places that we stopped. Really didn't do anything too crazy on the cruise. It was Megan's first time on a cruise. It was like my 5th or 6th. So we're just getting accustomed to both different places and trying to enjoy our honeymoon. You know?
It was great. And like Caleb said, we have those videos coming, and then after that, you guys get ready for some reality TV reviews. Go ahead.
What we have planned is Below Deck.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch it or not.
Because cruise theme. We just got off a cruise. We're still in the vibe of a cruise. We get it.
Yep.
I guess it's not really a cruise. It's more like a yacht, which...
For the people who rent it out.
True.
It's a personal cruise.
Yeah.
Which
would be
sound
cool.
appealing.
Just like a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Yeah.
Not a regular thing, I don't think. But
no, not
once to try it, it would be nice. But yeah, we just in case we didn't give an overview at the beginning of the video, we want this channel to just be us chit-chatting and giving you our thoughts on all the things that all of us are interested in: TV, vacations, hotels, cruises, food, anything you can think of. We kind of just wanted to talk and hear from you guys and hear your thoughts as well. And sometimes our reviews are going to be sour and sometimes they're going to be sweet, but we're just excited to have you here with us.
Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
She's sour, I'm sweet. We out.
Bye.